Hello and welcome back to Top Grade. My name is Spencer Miller and I'm so excited today to introduce to you a selection of brand new Canadian books for the winter 2022-2023 season. Today we're going to be looking at middle grade titles. I've got so many great books to talk about, so let's get started. Our first title today is a nonfiction book. Her Courage Rises, 50 Trailblazing Women of British Columbia and Yukon is published by Heritage House Publishing, written by Hallie Healy, and illustrated by Kimiko Fraser. This fascinating, informative, and charming book introduces young readers to a diverse group of women who changed the face of history in unexpected ways and defied the expectations and gender norms of their times. I really liked the illustrated portraits that I thought were so charming and the short and concise biographies. It was really readable how it was broken up into these profiles, and I enjoyed flipping through and just finding the profile that stuck out to me. I learned a lot while reading. I think the most interesting thing about this book is the variety of the life experiences included. The book features stories of social activists and politicians, artists and writers, scientists and healers, pioneers, prospectors, athletes, entrepreneurs, teachers, translators. There's so many experiences in this book, so much that we can learn from. For many years, the contribution of women has been left out of our history books and out of our curriculum, and so Her Courage Rises becomes an invaluable resource for teachers looking to include more women's history in their classroom. Weird Rules to Follow is published by Orca Book Publishers and written by Kim Spencer. This coming-of-age debut novel explores themes of racism, microaggressions, and friendship through a series of vignettes. The story is set in the coastal fishing town of Prince Rupert in the 1980s, and it follows a young Indigenous girl named Mia through some of her formative years. As Mia grows up, she starts to realize the way that life is very different for her than it is for her best friend Laura, who is white. Mia starts to notice the ways that adults treat her differently just because she is Indigenous. While the story is, of course, a work of fiction, it feels very true to life, very personal, very honest, and paints a clear picture of what it is like for a young person to experience racism and discrimination. This is a great book to get young readers thinking critically and intersectionally as it examines the impacts that Mia's gender and race and social class has on her experiences growing up. I recommend this as an excellent resource for teaching about anti-racism, empathy, and inclusion in your classroom. Another great book that teaches about racism and friendship is Reaching for Starlight, a brand new play from Playwrights Canada Press that is written by Donna Michelle St. Bernard. This drama about young Black women finding their place in the world of dance and ballet teaches important lessons about breaking barriers and breaking stereotypes. Young Rini is growing up in her mother's footsteps and wants to become a ballet dancer. She is putting her whole heart into preparing to compete with her classmates for the coveted solo at the year-end recital. However, Rini starts to notice that not everyone in her class is being treated the same. Her strict and traditional ballet teacher continuously puts down her friend Maya, the other Black girl in class, telling her that she is dancing too urban. Rini becomes determined to stand up for her friend and to make sure that Maya is not being counted out of the competition. Unfortunately, when young people experience racism, it is so often at the hands of an adult or authority figure, and it can be so challenging and unclear how to act in that situation. Reaching for Starlight becomes a really great resource for young students to be able to see acted out in this play just how a young person can stand up and challenge racism and make a difference in their community. The Prisoner and the Writer is published by Groundwood Books. It is written by Heather Camelot with illustrations from Sophie Kaysen. Published for the 125th anniversary of the famous J'accuse headline, The Prisoner and the Writer is an illustrated retelling of the Dreyfus Affair, a well-known political scandal where a French officer was imprisoned in an act of anti-Semitism. I really enjoyed this creative approach to nonfiction The illustrations accompany the text so well. The text is written partly in verse, and so at times this book feels like a graphic novel, at other times like poetry. The book is a perfect fit in social studies classrooms with its historical connections, as well as the author's note that covers journalistic bias and includes a guide to media literacy. The author also does an excellent job tying the story to present-day intolerance, reminding readers that prejudice and anti-Semitism are still issues that challenge us today, and that we must continue to speak out against prejudice in our communities. Our final book for today is Hidden on the High Wire, published by Second Story Press and written by Kathy Kaser. The story is about Irene, a young Jewish girl and circus performer who is forced into hiding with the increasing power of Adolf Hitler's Nazis. After being separated from her father and disguising her identity, Irene must perform the balancing act of her life in order to keep herself and her mother safe. The book is inspired by and loosely based on the real historical figure of Irene Danner. I was very interested in the setting of a Jewish circus during World War II and appreciated learning more about Jewish circus performers and their circumstances during the Second World War. This book is part of the Holocaust Remembrance series for young readers, an award-winning series that promotes Holocaust education for all ages. I highly recommend checking out this book and the rest of the series to help include the vital work of Holocaust education in your classroom. And those are all the books we have to talk about today. On behalf of the Association of Canadian Publishers, thank you so much for watching. We hope that you'll subscribe and follow along for more great Canadian book content. We also want to give a big thank you to Ontario Creates for their continued support of the Top Grade program. Visit the new and improved topgradebooks.ca to watch more videos, to see and download book lists, to explore books by grade level, check out blog posts with reading and classroom activities, and more.